Hey Han,
Hello, my babe. How are you?
I am good, enjoying this absolutely stunning weather, absolutely loving it.
It's like it's actually summer. It's like it's actually summer. Where's it been?
Crazy, a UK that is a hot summer, my goodness. So,
Well, for a day.
so
That's not-
don't
It's
burst my
literally,
bubble already.
you sent me a video for an Instagram reel about 3 days ago where you had your heated blanket on. Don't think I didn't notice. I noticed.
Yeah, but that's just me. I'm just always cold. So, and also it wasn't turned on. I like the comfort of a blanket,
Just
like
like
a
to
little
have blankie.
blankie. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, God, yeah. Probably need to see someone, don't I? Really?
No, as if. I feel a little bit disingenuous being all chirpy and cheerful with you today when I've literally spent all day moaning at you via WhatsApp voice notes.
Well, yeah, that's all good. I know I've been like, oh, well, actually, my day's okay. Hope that helps. Like, obviously not. Yeah.
I mean, it actually does, because there's nothing worse, is there, when you're having a bit of a moan. And because I'm a moan first, then fix it. You're
Yeah.
like pretty much the same, I think. But I need to have my 10 minutes to moan and
Yeah.
then I'll sort it out. So if people start piling on, I'm like, no, it's not what I
Yeah.
wanted from this situation. I just wanted to be heard. And
Yes.
now I will solve this issue.
I want to like get it out there that this is
Mm.
frustrating, and then we just like move on. I think the worst one is like when someone tries to fix it for you. You're like, that's not what this is. I'm just airing this annoyance. I don't need to. Well, you should tell them to do this. You should do. You're like, no, I'm good, thanks.
Yeah, it's like, not to get all feminist on the chat, but it's like quite a man thing, isn't it? And you're like,
I
yeah,
I
never
almost
would
said
have
it's like
thought.
I almost said it's like when you speak to a man, and I tried to refrain myself, but someone said it.
It's a safe space, babe. You don't have to refrain
It's the
yourself.
same space.
But yeah, you just like, I hate that when the solutions people come back with as well. And this isn't specifically a man thing, because this happens all the time with my friends and my mum. She's like, oh, have you tried like
Yeah.
insert most basic solution? And you're like, oh no, I never would have considered having paracetamol if I had a headache. What a
Yeah.
revelation.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Have you
it
tried comes from a good
sorry,
place. You're
it
right.
does, that's exactly what I was going to say. It comes from a good
Yeah.
place.
But yeah, have you tried like sorting your life out? Have you actually tried that? Yeah. Is that yeah.
Can you hit people through a computer screen? That's what I want to know.
Thankfully, no. That's why just to like tell the audience, that's why we've started doing it. Like and for that
Don't tell them that. That's
for my
not true.
security. No.
We only speak via Zoom now because I'm just such a liability.
Yeah, she treats me like a sister, but one of those ones that just punches you in the arm every now and again.
It's true love. It's true
Yeah,
sisterly love. Anyone with a sister will understand that.
I know. I've seen you and your sister. We all went on holiday together, and it was hilarious, but also just terrifying how much you guys just beat each other up all the time.
Yeah,
Both
little monkey
two,
children. That's what you
yeah.
got to do.
Other than you both being full-grown adults now.
I don't know. There's something so weird about siblings. So I know that you've got a younger sibling, but like
Hmm.
the age gap is quite big, isn't it? So
Yeah,
it's not really the same, but there's something about siblings. There's only a couple of years between me and my sister. You just
yeah,
revert. We're just
yeah,
forever sort of 12. We can't get out of it. We can't have like an adult conversation if we try. We just
yeah.
can't. So it doesn't
It's
work.
I know it's so funny because I can speak to you both individually as adults and have deep conversations, and like
Yeah.
suddenly together it's like, oh, shut up!
Shut
Like
up, shut up. Oh my God,
that.
get off my stuff. Oh.
Yeah, I didn't say you could turn it over, did I? Come on.
Classic. Right. We have yabbed on a little
Yeah.
bit, but tell me, my darling, what are we chatting about today?
So today we're talking about why we are big believers in DIY as small business owners. So
Oh, and we really are. I absolutely love
absolutely.
DIY. Louise, tell us all about it, my babe.
Yeah, so what type of DIY are we talking about? So we're not talking about doing your own wallpaper and house stuff, although we've got to do that ourselves, which is very irritating. But we are actually talking about like the DIY, so doing it yourself in business. So for small businesses, this can be things like tax returns or websites, your social marketing, your packaging, your customer services, just all the many million hats that you've got to kind of wear, and you've got to kind of do it yourself. But we're going to talk today a little bit about why some parts may be good, some parts may be bad, when it is the right option for you and when it's maybe time to outsource. So we're going to kind of talk about that. Yeah, and it's all about kind of investing in yourself. You know, if this is something that you enjoy, if like doing certain parts of your business is something you enjoy, you know, maybe you should lean into that, you know, when it's done sensibly, of course. But then also talking about like bespoke services, like, you know, at what point do you pass that on? At what point do you go, I'm definitely at my limit, or this is not something I enjoy, I dread it every day? You know, that's definitely kind of a time. So that's what we're talking about
Interesting.
today.
I love it, because I think, just before we dive into the kind of finer points of this, like DIY, doing it yourself, gets a bit of a bad rep, particularly, and I understand why, and we've definitely been guilty of this in the past, service providers, because it feels like a big part of your messaging that you have to do it for other people. Like, so sometimes I feel like DIY or doing it yourself options get sort of, you know, get a bit of a bad rep, when really, for certain stages of business, they're the best option. So
Yeah.
can't wait to chat about that a bit more.
Yeah. So like, when is the best time then, do you think, to kind of do DIY? If you want to kick off?
I'll kick off. I'm happy
You'll
to
kick
kick
off.
off.
You always
Love
kick
kicking
off.
off. Yeah, so DIY, doing it yourself as a small business owner, is really something that works the best at the beginning of your business journey. So when you're just getting started, when you don't have maybe the business funds yet to invest a lot of resources, yeah, that is definitely when we recommend businesses start doing things for themselves. So you still pay. This is the thing with DIY services, you still pay, but you make those payments with your time rather than your money. So you're still investing in yourself. It's not, you know, it's not that you're not investing in your business, you're just investing with the resource that you have more of, which is time, not money, when you're at the beginning. You know, we know this for a fact. We've both had our own separate businesses, and then we've come together with Lucky Night, and it's still happened. That first year or two, you need flexibility. You're bound to pivot. Your business is going to evolve. The things that you want will shift and change. You'll try new things and realize that that's really the direction you want to be heading. And I think if you dive right in at the very beginning to paying thousands of pounds for something very specific from a service point of view, you tie yourself in, and you basically just hinder any potential evolution and progress. So that's a huge reason that we support DIY as strongly as we do, because particularly when you know, this is talking strictly from a web design point of view, when people make their own websites, they use platforms like Squarespace, like Shopify, and that just gives you the freedom to update, edit, change, grow. And you just don't get that if you hand it over to someone early on in your journey, and you can't make those kind of all important edits. So that's a big thing. And, you know, just a note that even though you're doing it yourself, it's really, really important to always enlist a bit of help. It doesn't have to be stuff that you pay for, but we find this all the time, even between the two of us. We need outsiders to test things, read through things, make sure they run smoothly. Because when you're in it, you just don't see it. You can't see the detail, and you can't audit yourself appropriately. So whether you get, you know, a mate to check through stuff, just be really clear about what it is that you're asking them to do. You don't need kind of brand and lifestyle advice from people that maybe aren't your ideal customer. But make sure that you've got people on the outside chipping in and helping you see where things could be going a little bit better as well.
Yeah, so like another thing I think is actually quite important is like the validation period before like you spend the big bucks. It just really helps you understand, I mean, what your business needs for one, and what goes into like some of these services, you know, such as like social marketing is a good example, is that you kind of need to work out what's best for your business, maybe a bit more like about who your audience is. You know, it's not a very romantic way of looking at it, you know, but it's a great idea to like just test out ideas first, kind of dip your toe in the water, as they say, to kind of explore things. And I think it's kind of a step that's missed. Everyone kind of assumes at the start of running a business that you're just meant to have a plan and just keep going forwards with it. But that's, you know, while that is a way of doing it, you know, it often just doesn't work that way. There's a lot of trial and error, and it's only through that way that you kind of work out like, oh, okay, I thought this was going to work, it hasn't quite landed the way I thought. So that can be kind of like your audience, that can be maybe the products that you're kind of offering, all of those kind of things. And that's why that experimentation period and trying stuff and kind of failing, I think, is so valuable. I think, like, as they say, isn't it, like, you learn so much from failure way more than you do
Yes.
from success, and it's just one of those.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And people don't talk about it because I think that people are still very uncomfortable with the idea of getting it wrong. And
Yeah.
but you have to get it wrong, and you
Mhm.
will get it wrong, even if it's just in tiny little ways, probably 5, 10, 15 times before you're like, oh yeah, okay, that's the one, I've nailed it.
Yes, yeah. But I think
So
people get nervous as well because the word failure, it sounds like, I mean, admittedly, yes, it can be a costly failure because you may have put money into it and stuff like that. But often failure is that you've thought people are going to be interested, you put it out there and you don't get any response. Only technically, that's a failure. People are watching your stuff that closely to realize if that didn't sit or land or no one bought it, that's you, that's who kind of knows this, and your business that knows it. So I think that failure is good. And I think you've got to frame it as that and go, oh, well, okay, that didn't work, but I did learn from it, is the only kind of way to do it.
yeah, and I think particularly in business, I imagine this is true in lots of other things, but I've never really been very good at anything else. I've never been like a sports person or anything. But like, it actually builds your confidence. The more
Yeah.
you like fuck up, the more confident you are just sort of cracking on the next time,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, the first time you're kind of going to do something, you're going to be rubbish. And it's just one of those things,
Yeah.
like, even especially with as well DIY, a lot of people, they come to us and they're like, look, I've made my website, I don't like it, and you're like, yeah, but that's fine, but well done for trying it. And also the skills that you get from that, you're less scared the next time that you try it. It's just one of those points you got to keep doing it. The same, like, I used to hate going on camera for like our Instagram and stuff like that, but now now we're quite happy, like in the middle of the street I suddenly get on my tripod and I'm like, oh, it's fine. I'm like, well, in my eyes, I'm like, well, I'm trying to grow a business, so anyone who kind of mocks me or mocks us for it, that's your fault. Like, I'm trying my best to kind of do something I'm passionate about.
Yeah, I saw an Instagram post the other day that just absolutely tickled me, and it was like, nothing amazing was ever created without first being a little bit cringe. And it's so true, because it's really awkward putting yourself out there, especially when you're British and you're a woman, and it goes against like everything that you're kind of told is acceptable.
Yeah.
Making like a bit of a show of yourself, and like, even if we're not obnoxious with it, we would never like film people without the consent or be like doing really over the top stuff in public. It's always very subtle stuff, but it just makes you internally like, bah.
yeah. I think, again, also from Instagram, that's the only place that we get any of our content, it seems. But I like the quote of, like, a business owner will never mock you for starting a business. An athlete will never mock you for doing your first run. It's the people who don't do it, they're the ones who will kind of be like, oh, that's awkward. But the people who have made it, they know that's the only way to do it. You've got to do it.
Like, and it's really cringe, but I really like it, that like gym spo post, which is like, no matter how slow you're running, you're still lapping everyone on the couch.
Oh God, I have never heard that. I love that though.
It's nice. It's, you're just making small efforts to something that's important to you, and anybody who's sat on a sofa telling you you're rubbish, who cares?
Yeah, no, definitely. Or do what I do, which is run very early in the morning so that people can't see that I only run for like 2 minutes and possibly walk for 5 out of breath.
We're not all 5 a.m. freaks like you, though, my darling.
Well, I think it's because secretly I do know that I run like the Phoebe Buffet kind of thing. I'm just like all limbs. I'm like, oh, no one needs to see that. So
effective though, good for you.
Effective, yeah. Loads of calories. But yeah, I think it's also really good before you spend the money. I think it's really good to kind of do that DIY stuff as well, because it depends on what you're getting, but it's a lot, and I think it's helpful for you to have a grasp about what people are going to be doing for you if it's a service that you're going to be kind of like hiring out. Like tax returns is a great example of that. Do that a few times, you will love it when someone does it for you. The value, because
you'll understand the value of that service and the sort of the value, and also you'll know what to look for when it does come to hiring someone, because you understand, when you try and hire someone to do something for you that you fully 100% just do not understand, impossible. How do you assess that? So yeah, I think that's a really good example.
Yeah, and you can give clear direction as well, like say with social marketing, you can say, look, and these are the metrics I'm interested in, this is what I'm trying to grow, or this is, you know, and like we're on this month we're focusing on this message and this message, you know, until you've done several months of your own social marketing, how it's hard to direct someone else about how you would like it done. So I think it kind of makes you a better manager and overseer or hirer, however you want to look at it.
Yes, I love that. That's actually a really nice little segue into my next point about why DIY is such a great option. Is no one knows your business as well as you do. No one understands like your mission and your values and what you're trying to achieve and what your like goals are more than you. There is no one out there better equipped to help you meet those goals than yourself.
Yeah.
So, you know, yes, it's helpful to to get a bit of insider knowledge of these technologies and resources so that when you do eventually hire these things out, you know what you're doing. But also, it's the easiest way to achieve the things that you actually want, because you can stay laser focused without the input from anybody else who maybe doesn't understand you quite as well as you understand yourself.
Yeah, but you've got to communicate that again, isn't it? And it's that same that same idea, to know your business from that point of view.
Yeah, you know, and again, to bring it back to a kind of web design thing, because that's all I know, is just like, you may not know the sort of stylistic aesthetic design terms for the kind of thing that you like, but you'll learn them by working on your own website, by bringing things together and trial and erroring things like we've already talked about. You will start to understand your design style and your brand and your visuals much more in depth, and that will help you articulate that later on down the line if that is something that you ever want to do.
Yeah, once you've kind of got that background, you know, then you can like create that Pinterest mood board for the designer and be like, look, this is kind of, you know, I don't know what you call this, but this is what I'm kind of looking for. But then often you'll see the search term, so you do know, oh, it's kind of like Japanese pop cartoony thing that I like, or you know, that is you know.
No, exactly. I think it's so important. And you know, I just think DIY is such an amazing option for young businesses that don't have, because when you, like you were saying earlier, when you are a small business owner, it is unreal how many different hats you wear and how many different skills you pick up. But when you're just starting out, you don't have any of that. And actually, I think it's like a really important part of being a business owner, is that you almost need to learn to do the juggle before you can start handing any of it off.
No, definitely. And also, that's yours and you can take that with you kind of wherever as well. So you know, that's definitely something that, but also for our ADHD girlies out there as well, it's also a fun part of it, you know. If you're, you know, I know, so Naomi, I don't know if we've actually put it on the podcast, but I know you put it on Instagram, is that there are times where you are in a creative mood and there are times when you're not, and so you like to have multiple jobs that you can pick from, so you can go, now's the time I like to do this, and now I'm feeling like I just want to click a load of stuff and put this in a file and do this. So I like to have those, like,
totally. I can't do emails on a like design day, and I can't design on an admin day. I have to kind of, so I think, and I love having that option, as I'm sure it's one of the best, like you said, it's fun. It's one of the best things about running your own business, is that you get to do that. You get to have your fingers in all these different pies and do different things. It's fun.
And I think if you frame it as fun as well, it makes it a lot easier. Definitely.
And once, like you were saying, like you get to keep that knowledge. Once you've done it once, you can do it again and again and again. Like once you've launched one business, this is why we know so many business owners that operate 2 or 3 small businesses, because once you've done it the first time, once you've got over that hurdle, you can do it again and it's no problem. Well, it's not no problem. That's
oh, it's so easy. Let me just make my millions with my many other businesses. Like,
it's not as much of a problem. Like, you know, it's just a lot easier.
Yes, like the steps for most of the businesses are generally kind of the same once you learn about marketing, accounting, you know, the kind of building blocks of businesses, isn't it?
Building blocks of business.
I know. Get me. God, I've listened to too many YouTube videos, haven't I? Jesus. I think another great point as well that we are so lucky with is just that the DIY options have just come on such a long way. I know that, you know, and this was probably when we kind of like were first starting out, like it was so hard to make a website, you know, and it was so hard to design because you had to know Photoshop and not, you know, and also you had to be able to afford Photoshop, you know, like
Yeah.
there, you know, it's like there's so many tools now that are so easily accessible and that are absolutely great, you know, and things like Canva, things like
Oh,
Squarespace or
love.
Shopify, all of these things. And not only do they go, oh, here's a nice kind of like click and drag, so it's fairly intuitive, I would say. Not only that, but then also they go, and here are some like basic designs, here are some ideas, here are some like, or here is some documentation about where you could look for different patterns, and we kind of make it simple for you, you know, even with Squarespace and actually all the content management systems, they give you a color palette. And the reason for that is because, you know, designers know that, guess what, don't put 20 colors on your website, that's a little bit too much, you know, the same way it's like, don't put 100 fonts in there, they limit it to a couple of fonts because that is exactly what you should be using, you know, and it's, they've put that as a restriction, and it's actually a helpful tool, isn't it, for the DIY?
They're saving us from ourselves, because when you don't know that stuff,
they could do it in my life.
When you don't know that stuff, you just don't know it. And like, you know, particularly with the kind of business owners that we work with, we're like colourful, bold, lots going on, maximalism. Maybe having a little limit on some of that stuff to make stuff usable is not a terrible idea. So yeah, I agree. I think DIY options of now compared to the DIY options of yore are fantastic.
No, and I think, and you know, and now you can buy stock images, and even now there's like AI tools to help you, and there were like lots of like, and there's even like Fiverr, so if you don't want to do it yourself and you want maybe a little bit of help and kind of tweaking, you know, I don't think I've ever had great stuff on Fiverr, but
yeah, I know what you mean. I would avoid Fiverr like the plague, but I know what you mean about those kinds of websites. There are options, absolutely.
Yeah,
no,
to like 100%. Kind of kick you off. Yeah, so I just think, yeah, we're really lucky with that, really, that you don't always need to have, because it definitely used to be the case, you need to have the term was webmaster in those days, who was managing your website, you know, and it wasn't easy to update it. You had to like ask them in an email, and he'd be, you know, noodling away in some like dark dingy place and just be like, please can you update my telephone number, and it just be, you know, no, maybe next week.
I would just like to jump in and say that this is an absolute cell phone from the Lucky Night developer. That is you, babe.
Yeah, I know, but I pretend that I'm not. God, don't call me out on it. Jesus. Yeah.
You are our webmaster. How does that make you feel?
Webmaster. At least I'm the master of something, I guess. I'll take that as a little win.
I just want to have a little fun 5-minute segue, actually. How do you feel about, this is a big thing in tech, how do you feel about like the wanky job titles? Like when people are like
ninja,
user experience evangelist,
coding ninja, like teching, like, yeah, technology wizard. You're like, oh yeah, no, it's a big, because the reason why is because they come from companies that say we're a family, and what that really means is, like many people's family, will take the piss. Like we'll just not treat you with like the respect of an employee.
Yeah, we're here to fully take advantage of you and ruin the next 3 to 5 years of your life. So
exactly. Yeah. So yeah, those ones I just definitely they're a bit of a warning sign, aren't they? I think they're quite American though, aren't they? Those things, but like everything American, it's kind of like slowly floods over here. So
it is true. I hope that we don't. I mean, not that I'll ever go back to it. I honestly don't know that I could handle a 9-to-5 like office job ever again in my life. But if I do, maybe a fun title will take the edge off. I don't know what I'd would I be like? What could you be? Like a web design witch?
Web design witch? Yeah, but they just replace it with a B. like no, I don't I can go back to 9 to 5, because the thing is, I think I'm right all the time.
Oh, don't I know it?
I
Don't
know.
I know it?
I know. And I would like to tell everyone that I am right and that my way is the better way. No, I like to think I'm quite open, but I've been doing it for a while, and generally,
Oh yeah, you're all right. I'm only teasing. You're
no,
not.
I know, but generally, I'm like
hostile work environment.
yeah. Again, why what separate rooms, houses even. But yeah, I just don't think I just like to do my own stuff. I get very like anti, like, don't tell me what to do.
That is the crux of it, isn't it? I think that's like the tagline of every freelancer is I just want to do my own stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, I don't want to be like boxed with time as well.
Yeah.
Like I have to sit there, even though I may have like finished my work. Or the other issue I'd have is that I could probably finish my work in 20 minutes. However, if I've got to do it between now and 5 p.m., it will take me till 5 p.m. to do it.
So true. So true.
But, well. We've gone off on a tangent.
It's been fun though. I've enjoyed this one.
Yeah.
So I just want to like wrap this episode of the podcast up with a little cheeky disclaimer, because
yes,
obviously anybody who listens to this who knows us, yes, we sell DIY templates. That is what we do. We sell website templates, social media templates. But this isn't a biased take, all right? We're not just saying this to be like, oh yeah, definitely buy us something like this. We genuinely do believe this. It's really important to us. This is stuff that we've learned after, God, how many years in Bizloo? Like 5 years we've been businessing?
Yeah. Businessing, is that the technical term?
I believe so.
Business stuff.
So yeah, you know, this is by far the best thing that we've ever done as business owners. It's just, we love creating the templates, watching people use them, making them their own. You know, it's come up after we've spent so long working with female business owners in particular. And like Louise and I were just saying, a lot of the time we don't want someone else to do it for us. We want to do our own stuff.
Yeah.
So like, it's just really important to us that people have options that actually speak to them, speak to their brands, you know, so they don't have to struggle through a Squarespace site from scratch, because it's a nightmare. Yeah. So yeah, it's a biased take because this is what we do, but know that we really do mean what we're saying. This is absolutely true. We're not just trying to blag sales out of it.
Yeah. And if you are like me and like to think that you know best and you know best for your business, then yeah, you should definitely do it yourself. Yeah,
because you probably do. You probably
do. Yeah, generally, just get it done, isn't it? As well, that's my other thing. Just want to get it done myself and to get it done right. Well,
absolutely, couldn't agree more, my babe. Well, this has been an absolute treat. Thank you so much for recording with me.
Thank you so much.